Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Time has flown, y'all. Hello, hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Alice of KHR Arts, and tonight we are digital drawing. Yay! Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm so glad that y'all are here to draw with me. We're gonna have so much fun tonight. So we have the baseline art here to start with, and this is just like a very interpretive concept that I came up with. It is the idea of personified depression, so like that feeling of like nothingness with water, just like the stillness and heaviness of water. So I'm really excited to get started on this. It's something that's been on my mind for a while, and I think that it's going to be really beautiful. So I hope y'all enjoy. Gonna try to do some like watercolor style art with this. We'll see how that turns out. And we don't have a color palette for this, so we're starting totally fresh, but I do want to kind of stick with a theme of using a lot of blues just for that feeling of depression as well as for like the element of water. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I am excited for it, y'all. I'm going to select the figure so that we can do an inverted selection, which means that then I will be having it swap what we've selected so that it'll select the opposite of what I selected. And that's a little trick that I picked up from this program. And basically what it does is it enables me to be like, I don't want to paint over this area. Just makes my life a little bit easier so that we don't have to do a bunch of erasing later on. So yeah, I don't have the same tools on here as I did with my old version of Psy. So we're just going to make do with the blur tool. The tool I was looking for is called water, which is you mix it with the brush tool, which is what I just used to kind of give that watercolor feel. So we're just going to try the blur tool instead and see what happens. I'm already liking it so far. It's not exactly what I was expecting, but it's very pretty. I like it. I like this effect it's creating. We're going to play with opacity now because this is kind of dark. Ooh, I like that very much. Okay, now that we've got these nice colors going on, we're going to add some texture. Kind of want to create this look of like rocks on the side bank here. Just creating different textures, depth. And this is also why I'll like start new layers so that I can experiment like this without messing up what I've already done. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna copy that and see what I mean, how this doesn't push the color around the canvas. So because this gray is only on this layer, it's not on these blue layers. So here, I'll turn them off real quick. So they're like by themselves on this layer. So that's not blending in with the blue because they're on separate layers. So technically that blue doesn't exist to the gray layer. So that's why they're not blending together. I'm just gonna play with the opacity a bit. There we go. Because they're rocks, and rocks don't have fuzzy edges because they're rocks. So I'm just going behind them with some gray, not going over them so that I don't mess up what I've already kind of created here. Another layer behind so that we can create more depth. Now I know that's going over those rocks right now, but don't worry, we can do some erasing with that. Easiest way to do that is change the opacity so we can see what we colored over. Or actually, you know, it would be the smart thing. There we go. Just move the layer. Problem solved. Okay, the big part of that is because of the way digital drawing is, something that takes me a bunch of different techniques on here and then playing with layering and opacity and stuff. If I were like physically painting on a canvas, would be so much simpler and takes so much less time. Like, I don't know if y'all have seen any of those videos that circulate of, you know, people call it like one stroke painting, or they like load up a bunch of different colors or shades of paint on the paintbrush and then they do like one stroke and it's like magically perfectly shaded. I can't do it the way that those viral videos do because they've clearly like completely mastered that particular technique. But that's, I mean, pretty much how that works in painting, is that you load up your brush with different colors in order to create that shading effect in like one stroke. And in order to create that same sort of effect as you're watching me do this, I oftentimes have to play with opacity and layers and stuff. So it's just bending the medium in order to do the same effect is kind of why it gets out of control with the layers. All else fails, airbrush for blending. Yes. I mean, it's creating this stupid soft effect that we don't want on the top because it's water, but we can fix that after we finish all this blending business. And we'll just airbrush blend that out with the rest of the shadowing. There we go. Just erasing this so that we get rid of that fuzziness that's going on here. Okay. So we've got that hard line, but this shading is still not quite where I want it to be. We're going to play with the opacity. There we go. Now it looks like water. This one girl in my class wanted to do like her feet in a stream, and so she had to like study ripples because she was in the class sitting next to me. I, you know, kind of also by proxy learned how to draw moving water and ripples. So I have her to thank for it. Got the ripples, but if you ever notice when you look at ripples, there's like, ripples are kind of like three-dimensional. It's kind of like this like rounded curve. So because of that, to show that, I have to put like a shiny area on it. So that's what I'm doing right now, is I'm going over the ripples again with this really light blue. And while I know there are a lot of great people out there that take care of special needs animals, and there are people that take care of babies that are far more like special needs than mine, like blind and paralyzed and stuff like that, but it takes a one-of-a-kind person to, you know, take care of animals or people that have difficulties like that. And I'm pretty sure that most people would not put up with all of the nonsense that I have put up with and I continue to put up with taking care of Lady. She is a lot. Squishy went viral recently, which was really cool, and we had an article written about him. And the thing is that I do feel that the article kind of made it sound like he's more special needs than he actually is. I felt like that was a little bit misleading, but there wasn't much I could do about it because I didn't write it. They just kind of took some stuff that I said and then wrote a bunch of other stuff. But like between the two, Squishy is way easier to take care of than Lady. Like Squishy, I just have to make sure that I feed him the amount of food that he's supposed to eat and make sure he doesn't eat Lady's food, and I have to play with him to encourage him to exercise each day, and that's kind of it. Like that's kind of all I do. Otherwise he's just busy being a cat for the rest of the day, just being Squishy. Whereas with Lady, like, you know, like I said, I have to like stir her food and put water in it and do all the things with the stuff, and I have to carry her around a lot. I have to pick her up and put her down a lot. Like taking care of her is just like way more involved, and I think that's really the only silver lining to, you know, this whole situation with us being home all the time, even though, you know, I for several years now had my own schedule of just being home all the time anyway, so that's not very different for me, but now it's kind of like enforced. Is it enables me to be able to be here 24/7 to take care of her. But yeah, with Squishy, it's kind of like, okay, I need you to like flail around and attack a thing and kind of run around a little bit. Don't eat food that's not yours so you don't get diabetes. And that's kind of it. It's kind of like the ends. And they made it sound like I'm like, you know, taking him in for like constant treatments and all this other stuff. And I don't. Like, I take him in to the vet once a year. I actually have to take Lady in twice a year because she's old and she has so much stuff wrong with her. But with Squishy, like, yeah, we've gotten like every test test under the sun done on him, but like we do that when we're at the vet. So like when we go in for his regular checkup thing, the vet will be like, okay, well, we tried these tests last time, you know, let's try these tests this time. Because they also know, you know, I'm not made of money. Like even back when I was making decent money, like, you know, they're like, we're not going to do 80 million tests all in one go because nobody can afford that. And yeah, so, you know, it wasn't like I was taking him in like every single month to the vet or something crazy like that. Like the only special visits to the vet that I've done was both Lady and Squishy have gotten teeth pulled. And then the one time that like Lady, like she almost died and she had to get surgery. So those were the only like vet visits that were like out of the ordinary. Otherwise it was just kind of like, while we're here, we're gonna run some tests on your weird animals and see what's wrong with them. Correct, sabotage me. What are the white lines for? So they are to create, so the shading that we've done so far, so this shading is supposed to be like the shading for the bottom of the water. So like the riverbed, and now we're doing the shading that we would see like on top of the water. So, excuse me, like light reflecting off the water. And you know how sometimes like when a wave comes up, the top of it will be more see-through than the bottom of it because it's like coming up and it's like thinner and has more air around it. So it's more see-through, whereas the water that's like closer to like the rest of the water like looks more blue or, you know, green or whatever, depending on what kind of water it is. So that's the kind of shading we're creating right now, is that like top of the water shading. So just creating more shading and texture and stuff like that to make it look more like water. Actually, like thinking to myself, I'm like, you know, okay, little kid me remembers like hanging out on the farm being like the best thing ever. And I was kind of thinking to myself in like adult me brain, why did little kid me think that that was like the best thing ever? Like what exactly about that experience was so great that I loved so much? Yeah, I mean, all those things were fun, but I was trying to think, you know, like, well, what exactly about it, you know, like made it seem like this super magical place? Robin Masterson, you got those quick reflexes from your dad. Yes, I did. Oh my God. Dad's ability to catch flies is just mind-blowing. Like my dad, he can absolutely just stand there and watch a fly like this and just go, just Mr. Miyagi, that just grab it right out of the air. It's amazing. So yeah, I definitely think that's true. I think I got that from him. Yeah, I was trying to think, you know, like what is it that I deemed to be so freaking magical about, you know, hanging out on the farm in the summer and stuff like that? Because like my mom was not pleased with me that when we had to do this like school project, I think it was like in 6th grade or something, where we had to write like where our favorite place to go on vacation is. And I wanted to write about the farm. And my mom was like, you have been to Disney World and Disneyland 8 million times. You're writing about one of those. You're not writing about the farm. So I'm like, what would possess me to be like, yes, the farm is more exciting and magical than Disney World? Like, what exactly was it that made me feel that way? David Masterson, that's funny to hear you talk about. So yeah, just trying to like figure out, you know, what exactly was that magic about like going to the farm over the summer that was apparently to little kid me better than Disney World. And I think the biggest aspect of it was not being supervised. Like this is gonna sound really bad, you know, by like modern, like today, 2021 standards, but like, you know, this is back in the 90s when things were different. Also, this was like on a family farm that was like, I think it was something like 200 acres or something like that. So it was like a huge amount of land. And like everybody on this farm was related to me. So like it wasn't like there were like strangers. Like everybody that's there is related to me. And it's not like people are like, you know, driving by or anything like that. Like nobody, like there was never anybody there that like wasn't supposed to be there. So, you know, it wasn't like, you know, the suburbs or the city or something where there's just like constant stranger danger Hampshire or something like that. Like, it was literally the middle of nowhere, and everybody is related to me. So it's like nothing is going to happen to me. But yeah, I think that was the part that I really liked, you know, thought like was really special about it was just literally like huge chunks of time. Like, it wasn't like days on end. Like, there were adults. Like, it was pretty much like the adults were like, okay, we're going to work, so these are the rules, and yeah, don't die, was kind of like what it was. And then there were just like tons of snacks, just all of the snacks, so that, you know, we had food to eat and we wouldn't starve. And it was just being a little kid and like having these big chunks of time during the day where we could literally do whatever we wanted and not be supervised was cool. Like, most kids don't really get to say that growing up. Like, oh yeah, you know, I just spent like huge chunks of time just totally unsupervised running around on like 100 acres of land on horses and four-wheelers and catching butterflies and just running amok. And even though there were rules, they were like, rules. Like, there weren't really a lot of rules. Okay, y'all, this is looking gorgeous. I like this a lot because back then, that was also when my great grandparents were alive. They actually lived to be like in their 90s, and they didn't die until I was in high school. And they lived in like the original farmhouse, which was really old and really cool. And one of the rules with that was that, you know, we were only allowed to go in certain parts of it. Like, we weren't allowed to go in the attic, and we weren't allowed to go in the basement and stuff like that, mainly because it was full of like stuff that would probably get tetanus from or something. But I remember my great grandmother, she had all these jars of old candy hidden around the house, like under her bed and like in the freezer and just in really weird places. And we were not allowed to eat it. And I mean, really, we really shouldn't have eaten it because it was like a million years old and it was probably like actually really gross. But because it was forbidden candy, it made it 100 times more exciting. So we were like, we must eat the forbidden candy. And there were a couple of times where we actually did eat some of her candy. And like somehow she, like, I swear, I think she counted them or something because she always found out and we would always get in trouble. She would scream at us. It's terrifying. But like, because she was old, like all we had to do was just like run away and like just be somewhere else on the farm until she like forgot about it. So that's how we got away with that. Just run away. Go to one of my other relatives' houses for a few hours until she forgets. Oh man, it was good times. We had a lot of fun. But that was the other thing. I was a very weird little kid while like we were, you know, running around and doing all these shenanigans and stuff. Like, I was basically dressed like a pretty princess. Like, I literally had a bunch of like Disney princess costumes and I had like princess crowns and stuff that I insisted on wearing everywhere. But then I also had a pair of red boots that were like specifically for horseback riding. So like, I was running around the farm like in my princess dresses with my tiaras, wearing my horseback riding boots that were bright red. That was me as a kid. I was special. Like, I have always been this level of fabulous and special ever since I was a kid. I compromise for no one. That's where the line art got messed up. I can fix that right now so that this takes way less time. Let's do that. Where am I? Hello. And it doesn't matter what color this is, so I probably should make it be the same width. There we go. Okay. Yay. Bam. Done. It's gonna take me forever to color that. That's one of the biggest things that I missed this last year is me and my bestie Jerfae, we've kind of made it a tradition, like going to Ren Fair together and getting all dressed up, and we would bring some of our other friends with us, and like we'd all get dressed up together and then we'd head out, and in the car on the way there we'd come up with, okay, you know, what is your persona for the day? And you have to be in character like all day. And my favorite was when it was me and Jerfae and our friend Cassandra and our friend Jess, and we called ourselves the Real Housewives of Bristol because it's the Bristol Ren Fair. So we like acted like, you know, the people on that TV show, the Real Housewives, but it was like Ren Fair style, and we all had catchphrases. It was, oh my god, it was wild. It was so much fun. Oh my god, Jerfae! Hi! Oh, I miss you so much, my love. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for tuning in and saying hi. I miss you to bits. I was just talking about how I miss you. Oh, I'm good. How are you? It's been a bazillion years. I was just talking about how I miss you, like randomly singing silly songs, and I miss our random magical adventures to Joanne Fabric. I'm good. You look so cute. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, dear. You are wonderful. I love you. Oh, it's so crazy. Oh, I miss you to bits. In previous live streams, because people do sometimes ask me, like, well, how do you know where the shadows are supposed to go and where the highlights are supposed to go? Like, how does shading work and stuff like that? It's really through years of education through art school and practice, doing a lot of the not fun, boring art assignments early on in my art career. And so now it's just, become second nature where it's like, I just know how to do this. This is just what you do. I don't really have to think about it as hard as I did back when I was first learning how to do this. And I would actually have to sometimes sit there and actually turn on a lamp and play with it, usually with my hand, and I'd hold the lamp like this and kind of move it around to see how, oh, if the light is shining this way, the shadow is going that way and stuff like that. I used to have to actually physically look at stuff like that in order to figure out how lighting works. Now it's just kind of this is just how lighting works. I understand. Come here. Oh, here is my baby. Here she is. Oh, I love you. Say hi, my princess. It is lady. She is tiny and old. I love her so much. There you go. She likes to say hi to everybody. Oh. I just scared the hell out of myself, y'all. Oh my god. I had a little tuft of lady's fur stuck on my compression glove, and it just came off and rolled across my keyboard. And I legit thought it was a spider, and I was about to just completely lose my Ooh, I'm awake. Hi. Okay. Oh, holy shit. It is 8:50. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Time has flown, y'all. Wow. Holy crap. All right. We're gonna finish up this layer, and then I think it's almost done time. So much tonight. It is so crazy how fast this drawing progressed, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this journey with me. Take care. Be safe. Social distance. Bye-bye.